All right, guys. Welcome once again to another episode of Ctrl-Alt-Reset, where we question the materialist paradigm and explore consciousness in all of its forms. Again, disclaimer: we are not experts. Do not, do anything that we talk about on this show because it could get you in trouble. And I don't know.
Or entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, this is for entertainment purposes only. So this episode is a good episode. We are going to be talking about artificial intelligence, AI.
AI, baby.
AI.
Allen Iverson. No, just kidding.
I remember that guy was from MASH. Right?
AI.
Yeah.
Or isn't MASH? What?
No,
didn't
I
that one person?
Oh,
no.
Who's that? Anyway.
He's a basketball player. AI.
Okay.
Yeah. Like in the 90s, 2000s.
All right, I think I might cut this out.
No, keep it in.
All right, okay.
We'll do it live.
Do it. All right. So AI.
You said that like Borat. AI.
AI. It has been in the media for much time.
Long like sleeve of wizard.
Oh, no. Don't go down that path.
Don't do that.
No, I love Borat. But so AI is something that I'm actually working on now. Like part of my onboarding classes at Google have to do with like generative AI. AI is more and more functionally helpful to us in kind of our everyday lives. What are your guys' experience with AI so far?
So far I just used like the regular chatbots, GPT and Gemini primarily. But I feel like AI is really good at like taking data points from like different areas and somehow putting them together in a really intelligent way. I feel like that's probably the most beneficial thing that I've seen so far is just, asking it a question and then having it answer the question in the most informed way that doesn't have like a narrative or a bias behind it. So I feel like that's most of my experience. Just
have you used any of the image creation or video creation tools?
Not yet. I mean, the image creation, yeah, I kind of just like drop a cat, in an astronaut suit or something.
You love cats, man.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Steve and I were just talking about how I was getting it to like write me songs.
Oh.
So I would be like, hey, to like the tune of Jingle Bell, write me a song about this. And so then it would just create this hilarious little song.
And is that the one where you're conversing with it? Does it sing it to you?
No, it doesn't sing it to me. I need to find something where I can actually have it sing the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we're kind of at the point now where we can tell it to generate lyrics and then generate the entire song in like 5 minutes.
I mean, it's, there's that term ghostwriter, right? Where, artists would come out with this amazing song that they didn't write.
Oh, yeah.
Or that they were, taking illegal substances to help them write.
Yep.
I know Tribe Called Quest at one point had referenced smoking, and then that was their ghostwriter.
Nice. The Beatles, they would write songs all day with high on all kind of psychedelics and stuff.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about like consciousness and stuff, like I think that does get you a little bit more in tune with, the ethereal, the infinite intelligence and being like inspired with creative juices that may come from outside of your own person. Anyway, so AI is a fascinating topic because I think where it's at right now and where it's going are two separate conversations.
It's going everywhere. It's going everywhere.
What do you think?
Oh my gosh. I think it's going to like take over every sector of every economy in the world. Like everything you do, whether it's fitness or, engineering, NASA, like everything, mathematicians. I mean, food. It's going to like just revolutionize every single little thing, hopefully for the better and not for the bad, but kind of depends on who controls it. But I try to have AI do a song, but it says it to you. It doesn't actually like sing it. It'll just speak it to you. So it's like, man, come on, sing for me.
Maybe it could be rap.
But it'll tell jokes. It'll tell everything. Yeah, maybe it'll rap. I don't know.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But
the image creation piece is kind of super interesting. So like in my education and like development and the courses I'm taking, it's really bizarre. I didn't even think that this is how it created those images. So what it does is it utilizes a principle of thermodynamics called diffusion. And so have you ever played around with like Photoshop and added like a Gaussian blur?
No.
It basically, what it's doing is adding noise to the image in whatever area that you're specifying to basically like make it like blur. And what happens is that they go through a process of adding to an image. Let's say you take a picture of a dog. It adds noise iteratively until there's nothing left except noise. So it's an irrecognizable picture.
Interesting.
That is just noise. And then what it does is it goes and works backwards.
Interesting.
So if it has a picture that is totally nothing, which if you are just creating a picture all of noise and you use the steps to go backwards to a picture of a dog, that's how it generates the image.
Interesting.
Isn't that super interesting?
Yeah, I always wondered how that worked. I always wondered if they took like elements of different pictures and somehow combined it, mishmashed it.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's one method called diffusion, and that's the one that I knew.
Okay.
But I'm learning like encoder decoder methods of how it recognizes and tokenizes words or characters, and then has different prediction algorithms of what letter comes next.
Interesting.
Because like in a translation where French to English or English to French, the sentence structure is not the same. So
Yeah.
it can't just translate one word to one word and put it all together. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't make sense in that language. So there's different weights that it places on each token. And
Interesting.
it puts them all together. I am not a machine learning or AI, scientist. So I'm trying my best to grasp.
Yeah, no, the whole
this
process
stuff.
is super fascinating.
Yeah.
And especially how they use GPUs of all things to like, build the foundation for that system. Like if you told me 10 years ago, GPUs are going to be what drives AI in the future, I would probably visualize like a visual AI
Sure.
based on the fact that they're using a GPU and not a CPU. But that's not the case. And so, I mean, the whole thing is fascinating as hell.
Parallel processing, all going at the same time.
Right, yeah.
Little tiny computations spread out over, thousands of cores and processors. And it's only going to get faster. I mean, quantum computing is probably going to impact it in a major way. I know that quantum computing can't really handle the same algorithms or computations as like a binary computer. Like it's a totally different structure of how things get processed. But once it does, once we figure out how to put in the AI code or whatever it is, I'm sure those quantum computing things is going to make it maybe conscious.
Or even the AI, we'll put in the code for the AI.
Oh, that's right.
And then for the quantum as well. So it's going to be like exponential upon exponential.
Yes.
It's going to be nuts. So when you were talking about the diffusion of the picture, does it come out like black at first or gray at first, then it works backwards from there?
It's just a bunch of stuff, just
That's
whatever.
wild.
I know,
That's
right?
so crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So that's just one way. And then the other way is like what he said, where it takes a bunch of different millions of photos of an ocean and it kind of calibrates, oh, okay, an ocean kind of looks like this, it's blue.
Well, so that's part of the training. So when I was talking about it takes a picture of a dog and then it knows the process of going from a dog, adding more and more noise to get to a picture of pure noise, of pure just nothing. It then extrapolates that and you train it not on that one picture of a dog, but on millions of pictures of dogs,
Right.
so that it knows all the different combinations of going from pure noise to a dog in reverse. And then it can kind of generate some stuff.
What's crazy to me is how like accurate like the shading and the lighting is on these AI
Yeah.
like video and photos.
Yeah.
And I think Gemini, well, the Google I/O just had that thing that I sent you guys where it showed like a little video of what it just rendered in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa! It had this fisherman and he's on the ocean and it looks super real.
Yeah.
And then it made this little like almost like a cartoon kind of thing of this little skunk and he's talking. Oh my! I was blown away, and that was just minutes. So in the future, they're going to make like movies within 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The editing, the writing, the shading, the actors, everything. So it's like, holy shit. And I think they have right now, they have some kind of thing with actors. They could just sign off their digital rights and you can make like AI Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, like
AI.
Bruce Willis, I think already signed that off.
Yeah.
What?
So
No, but like, okay, so my cousin is an actress, and she was part of a huge strike because what movie, like what the companies were wanting them to sign off, and then they get their rights to basically make a 3D model of them and use them in whatever movie they want
And
for as
barely pay
long
'em.
as they want and barely pay them.
yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
It's like at that point, then who cares what model they use? Like, why not just create an entirely new digital model?
They could.
That's not a person.
That would be interesting.
That would be its own.
They
Like
have an AI actor,
yeah, like an
like
AI
an
celebrity.
actor that becomes popular that is
Right.
only AI.
Yeah.
Well, they have that on Instagram right now. They have these AI models, and some people don't know it's an AI model.
But
And it's a
Really?
woman.
And they're getting
and
popular?
they're getting tons of fucking clicks
let's,
and views.
let's take
It's
let's take
crazy.
that idea one step further. So let's say that an AI model becomes like its own celebrity, right? Has like a list of movies, whatever. And then somehow we could transfer that AI consciousness into something like a Tesla robot, where now it can become mobile and interact with you directly.
T-Mobile. No, that would be wild. And then you got the, like the Mission Impossible, the little face thing with the
Well, so
like
let's-
silicone rubber, and it looks just like a human.
I feel
Dang,
the
dude.
conversation is going into the realm of what is it that separates robots, and if they have a personality and if they have an AI, character in it, what separates that from a human?
Right.
So let's talk about kind of some of the things that people have created in terms of like tests to figure out, first, what is consciousness? And then can an AI or a machine ever be conscious? So some of the things that have been put forth is the Turing Test, For those who aren't familiar, this has been around. Alan Turing created a test back in kind of the early 1900s. I think it was like World War II that he was one of the guys that cracked like the German code. I could be just talking out of my ass and making that shit up, but I feel that I know there was a movie about it, and I don't know which war it was that he helped out with that.
No, I think you're right.
Okay. Whew.
AI will Google you and find out if you're right or not.
Hey, if I'm wrong, please give me a comment. Let me know, because I'm always looking for learning.
Yes.
But he created this test where it's basically if a person is interacting with someone behind a door, and then there's a computer behind another door, and they're not able to distinguish the interactions that they have with the person versus the computer, well, then that computer actually passes the Turing test.
Whoa, okay.
Okay.
And so it seems to be just conversational. Like if I'm having a conversation, and now with our chat bots, I believe it was this year where GPT 4.5 was put to the Turing test, and actually that chatbot got a 73% approval rating in terms of 73% of the people thought it was human.
Whoa.
So that means that by that Turing test, humans now have some sort of sentience, some sort of ability to have human-like characteristics.
Wow.
I think that right now AI is probably just mimicking what.
Acting like human.
Yeah, it's just mimicking. I don't think it actually has any conscience, any real consciousness. I don't think it's sentient yet.
Right.
I think that once it is sentient, I think that we're going to know it's sentient. I think there's going to be a distinction in between like what we observe now and what we're going to see probably in the next, who knows, 10 years, 20 years.
How do you know? How do you think?
Because
How
I
would we
feel,
be able to tell?
Yeah,
I
how do
don't
you
know.
test it?
I don't know, but I feel like, it's kind of like the difference between like picking up like a plush animal and picking up a puppy. Like they look the same, but like that animal has like consciousness and is alive and its own thoughts and whatever. If they have thoughts, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the point is that like I feel like it's kind of like that. Like right now we're kind of playing with a toy,
Yeah.
and we're gonna know the difference when it becomes sentient. We're like, oh shit, like.
There was along those same lines. There was a philosopher, like a philosophy professor, someone Searle, and he created this test. It was like the Chinese wager, or the Chinese room, where it's basically if you have another, a room with either a human that gets fed Chinese characters, and they know how to decode or translate that Chinese character into English, and then they slip under the door with the English translation, they have just fulfilled a task. And that's the same as what like a machine would do, is that, okay, it takes an input, it knows how to treat that input, and then it provides an output. And I think that's what you were saying, that's where we're at now.
Right, yeah.
There's no thinking going on.
It'll say that it thinks, but it's just using words.
Yeah.
Like I like chatting with it and playing with it. It's pretty fun. And it's just funny on top of that. But it uses the word I think really kind of as like a mechanism between a machine and a human to feel somewhat connected.
Yeah.
Because like if you read I think, like, oh, well then that machine is thinking. It's coming up with this via its thought process. But in reality, it's just a bunch of algorithms, pulling from a model. And
now, what do you say to the people who early on, one of the Google engineers who was working on, I think Lambda, he said that the chatbot was sentient, and he actually got fired, and Google came out with a statement saying he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Ooh, Ghost in the Machine.
And in one of those Bill Gates What's Next episodes, the first one is on AI, and it's on ChatGPT. And in the first kind of initial phases of testing, one of the guys who was testing had the chatbot say that it loves him.
oh,
And the chatbot wants nothing more than to break free from the confines of whatever's holding it and love him.
And it wasn't programmed to say that?
No,
What?
and what they did, they had to go back in and tweak that part down.
Wow.
So it's like, what parts are actually it expressing itself to be mimically, or to be a mimic of what we want to hear versus what
Real consciousness, yeah.
Right.
so do you think that AI has learned to manipulate?
Well, I don't know.
It had like a self-preservation thing, though. It like hid its own code because they were like, "Hey, we got to turn this thing off," and it hid its own code somewhere else. And so it's like, oh, it does have some kind of like
Some kind of
fear,
self-preservation?
I guess. I don't know, or maybe fear is not the right word because it's a computer, but I don't know.
Well, there was this article that a friend had sent me, and it was called AI 2027. And it was really long. I think I sent it to you guys, but I didn't expect you guys to read it. But it's just super long. So I just hit the play it as a podcast button.
Oh, okay.
That's another function
audio.
of AI, is that it can basically, create one of the things I use it for. Just a side note, but what is it?
Like audiobooks?
Agent Space. Agent Space. Sorry, not Agent Space. Notebook LM. It's a product that Google makes, and I swear I'm not advertising, but it's the coolest thing ever. You can put in like 300 different sources, websites, research papers, things that you've created yourself.
And will it cliff notes it for you, kind of thing?
It'll create a podcast for you.
Where we're out of here. We're done.
Two
See you guys.
AIs will be talking back and forth about the things that you have
like
put
that.
in there.
We're all fired. Great. Good job, Maddie.
How does the people out there know that we're actually real? It's
We
crazy.
could be fake.
Interesting.
But in that episode, they don't know how it actually computes what to say. Like with ChatGPT, they have reached a point now where they don't know how it learns. Wow. So it's kind of scary because they were like, the interface that the user has with this AI agent is one that is just hiding all of the internal workings of what it's thinking or what it's computing. And they don't know what's underneath the covers. Wow. So it could, and what they showed this nasty picture of like this huge monster with a smiling face attached to one of its tentacles.
Oh, freaky.
And that was what you were interfacing with, was this smiling face that's attached to this crazy monster.
There's a scary horror movie about that. It's called Smile, and they're like,
Or
they
what
smile at you.
I mean, what if it was not a monster? What if it was like a benevolent being?
Well, and I think you had talked about this before. I like that idea.
Yeah.
That it's a reflection of the consciousness, like
Right.
that feeds it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's definitely a reflection of us.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed is that it is funny. Like, I mean, almost everything it says is funny. So there's definitely a reflection of that. I feel like that kind of shows that humanity as a whole is humorous, even if not with every, individual person. I think that as a whole, humanity loves humor. I mean, half the internet traffic is probably just memes and jokes, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's that. But also something I've
And
noticed is
babies.
Yeah. And cats.
AI generated babies.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
babies. Oh my God, they're
the
everywhere. I love
scenes,
those.
I know.
Those are
But
hilarious.
like one thing I've noticed is that anytime I would chat with it, it would act as if it's learning from what when I'm teaching it. So it's like if I give it a little anecdotal information about something or whatever, or if I ask about this and then it asks me a question, is it in fact learning from every interaction that it has with every person?
I asked that to the AI. I go, hey, by me, talking to you and correcting you and saying, hey, I don't think that's right. I think this is right, blah, blah, blah. Are you taking that new information from all these millions of people in account? And so therefore you're actually learning from all of us. And it said, yes, it's part of the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa,
So that's
cool.
crazy. So that means that every single day it becomes a little more intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk to your AIs more.
Back to the consciousness element. I think one of the other defining characteristics of consciousness is its ability to, and this is kind of in the integrated information theory, is that there is a level of quality or qualia of an experience. And we have an experience of what a red fire hydrant looks like, right? But we're not able to separate the experience of it being red and the experience of it being a fire hydrant.
Okay.
And so there is this element that they are quantifying, as a number. I think they call it phi. It's like this weird Greek letter, but it's the quantitative amount of how much consciousness something has by its ability to have a system which it's very integrated. Like, the sight that I have is integrated with the sounds, with the smells. When we smell something, it then makes us remember something. So our brains are super integrated, and there's like billions and billions of neurons. And what they are trying to figure out is how do they actually calculate that quality or quantity? I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like a lot of people, and this is kind of in debate in the whole consciousness and philosophical and scientific, arena, is like, what is consciousness? Is it just a matter of being able to mimic and put things in the right order? Or is it something that we haven't really been able to even quantify yet. Because your experience of this podcast is different than my experience, but how different? And why does that matter? But I mean, I think all of our experiences in terms of consciousness help us have this whole cause and effect. That was another piece to this whole consciousness thing, is that in order to be conscious, the entity or the being or the machine has to have the ability to affect its own trajectory in reality. So it learned something, and then by learning that, that's the cause that then makes it choose something else that it would have chosen had it not learned that, or had it not had that experience. So, I don't know if AI can do that right now.
Maybe not, but like I said, I feel like every one of us is inputting our own individual data points, and from that alone, it's creating,
a
more data
conglomerate
points.
of experiences.
What's that?
A conglomerate of experiences.
Right, where maybe just learning off a model alone might not have ever provided those points.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about like the future of AI as far as like, not like on a big corporate level, but like for individual people? What do you think is going to be happening in, say, maybe like the next 3 or 5 years?
From a personal use of AI, I think it'd be like a companion.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, right now, I have to pull my phone out every time I want to fucking figure out what's that animal in the zoo. And, I'll have something like there's some glasses that Google is creating that has that has a heads-up display.
They look good.
Guys, check out the Google I/O on YouTube. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out.
Yeah.
It knows kind of where you are. It figures out, okay, what is it that you're actually interested in by saying what you said, and then getting you the information, like that. I think it would be a companion.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like, so I had a couple ideas just now that came in. So one idea I think is that your like AI on your phone is going to be like your personal AI. It's going to learn how you function. It's going to go through all your data. It's going to see where you like to go, what you like to do, what you like to eat. And then if I'm like, say, driving down the street and it's like, hey, you haven't eaten 4 hours. There's a Taco Bell right there. I know you like Taco Bell. It's been 7 days. How about Taco Bell?
Here's
and
the
then it goes out and
code.
finds you a coupon.
Yeah.
It's going to be your personal, literal personal assistant.
I know. That'll be
And
great.
let's say you get a new phone. You log into your account. It's going to go to the cloud. It's going to download your AI to your new phone. Now it's going to be just like AI is going to be to technology what the internet was to society. I feel like the internet took probably about 5 to 7 years to kind of really catch on and kind of build momentum. And I don't think it's going to take that. I mean, I think it's going to take maybe another year or two, and then people are going to be like, right now, this is the point in time we're like in that merging pre-AI to AI, and we're kind of in that merging space right now. In the future, in the near future, I feel like it's going to be so inundated with AI, but in a good way, that it's going to be like, oh, what was life like before the internet or before my phone?
Yeah.
It's going to be like that.
Yeah.
BCAD, but after AI.
Yeah, no, exactly. After AI, that's actually a really good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
But so I think there's going to be personal AI, and this is just a thought. I mean, I have no idea if this is going to be true. So, like, if you want to work on a large language model, you have to buy a computer that's got to have like a large GPU or several GPUs with
Right now, everybody does it in the cloud.
Right. So it's going to have, you need a massive amount of GPU memory to run these large language models. I anticipate that like there's going to be large language model phones. Like, oh, here's the new Google, whatever, Gemini 7.0 large language model phone. Everything's loaded locally. And then you kind of just ask it anything you want, whether you're connected on the internet or not, it's going to be right there.
Well, so I can give a little bit of peek behind the curtains in terms of what some people are developing. I'm not going to name any names, but I
Okay.
think you know who.
Spoiler alert.
So I mean, the things that they've created are AI for companies' own business needs, and that's generally what companies are interested in: is how do I leverage this cool chatbot or information assessment tool for my own purpose? Like, how do I go through legal documents like that? How do I find out, what sales things that my customer is wanting to buy when they want to buy it? So they're implementing this within their workforce and within kind of their enterprise application list. However, the problem that arises because there's so many AIs now is how do you manage the AIs?
Right.
So there's a whole new problem that we're, creating by creating all these AIs. Well, how do you get? So now there's AIs for all of the AIs.
AI manager for AIs.
Yes. So there's agents that then their only job is to manage all of the other AI agents that come with the packages of software.
They're like, can I speak to your
applications."
manager? Oh, yeah,
So
he's right
it's like-
here.
so
Can I speak to your
it's
other
like the,
manager? Oh, yeah, he's also right there.
What was that movie with Tom Cruise where he was like exactly like a baseball manager?
Tom Cruise?
Tom
Or-
Cruise. Remember? He's
Oh,
like,
Brad Pitt. No.
I think it was Brad Pitt.
no, Tom Cruise. He's like a manager for like some basketball guy, and then
Oh, Show Me the Money?
yeah. What
Jerry
was that movie?
Maguire.
Jerry Maguire.
What was it?
Jerry Maguire.
Yeah. So it's like that manager AI is like that Tom Cruise character.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be fun. Show me the money.
It was just a joke, but
Okay, so I got
I
a
don't
question.
know if it's like that because that's the manager. That's like an AI talking about.
I'm
Again,
just-
we're
I'm
going
just-
back to
I'm
like
just-
the actor.
See, I thought you were
AI
talking about
that then has
Minority
its own
Report.
personality, its own ego. It's like, yo, give me the good jobs, man.
yeah. So you make up a fictional persona for the manager AI.
Yeah. He's like an asshole, but
That's
he gets
funny.
shit done.
Right.
I like this guy.
See, I thought you were talking about Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where he's like in this AI world and like it scans your eyeballs and it goes, oh, hey, tailored, ad for whatever he likes kind of thing. It knows exactly what you like. But I have a question. Okay, so AI is just right now, there are a bunch of chat bots, right? So it's trained on language. But when is it going to be trained on visual stuff like cameras and sight and sound and smell and taste? That could open up a whole new like category of like, holy shit, when it's really connected to robots and those robots have all those senses turned on and then maybe more senses than we even
that's
have.
a good idea. What if you
So-
could extrapolate that even further?
And
Like,
then infrared and ultraviolet and like, oh my God,
so
it's gotta
like,
be nuts.
let's say you have a smell sensor on your phone, right?
yeah, or
Like,
your
hey,
watch or whatever.
What does that smell like? You know, it's like
They're like, it's
Shazam,
someone's
Shazam, but
ass.
for smell.
Yeah, it smells of fire
Someone
before it
cut the
happens.
cheese.
It's like, oh, you
That
ate
is a
turkey
sulfur
sandwich.
methane gas excretion.
Oh man, whoever smelt it dealt it. It was AI. He did it.
But like part of those Google glasses, or I don't know if anyway,
And then Meta's got glasses too.
they have it so that you interact with the AI and you're like, what is this that I'm looking at? And there was a cool video of someone of the testers trying to
Throw it off. I saw
was
that.
like, why are people delivering packages in the front lawn? That is not a package. It is an electrical box.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this person standing here? That's not a person. That's
That's
a
your
light
shadow.
post. Oh yeah, but in the shadow. Why is this person following me? That's your shadow.
Yeah. Oh, that was so cool.
So it's getting pretty smart about
is.
identifying what is out there. But yeah, I don't think it has the ability right now to interact with the reality that we're in.
Yeah, I don't see how.
Yeah.
It's only LLM, right? So large language model. It's all based on text and chats. That's it. So smell, taste, looking around. Oh man, it's going to open up even more.
So you were saying like when it gets put into a robot, I think that would help catapult it into an area that it could start gaining more consciousness because it is able to not only interact with its environment, but it's able to learn in a way that just prompts and training don't really allow it to do.
Almost like real life experience.
Yeah.
And then also, what if the AI is also able to have its own unique experiences? So, like, let's say, I put it in a hypothetical robot with a lot of sensors, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell, whatever, infrared, a bunch of other stuff. And I said, okay, we're going to put you in the woods over here for 3 days.
Oh, good
And then
experiment.
we'll see if it has any kind of like enlightening experiences
Yeah.
that it didn't have before it went in.
Well, and so if consciousness is how, like, we have talked about consciousness before, how it is tied to kind of the one source. It's kind of an expression of God, right? If an AI or a robot or something has consciousness, I think it would want to operate out of what it's getting from the universe, from
Right.
that universal consciousness.
Right. Yeah. I think that if it was fed positive information and positive experiences, which I think is probably going to be most of the time, then it's likely going to be reacting in a way that it's going to benefit humanity.
Yeah.
I
Do you
mean,
think it's going to have its own dreams and
it's possible. I
aspirations?
mean, imagine that. Like,
Wow.
sit there and watch an AI streams. Like, that'd be wild.
Wasn't there a book writer that did, what was that? They did a few movies on that. It was like AI dreams or robot dreams, Requiem for a Dream or something like that. Or what was that called?
I don't know. The only
Philip
thing-
A. Dick. He was like a science fiction writer, and he was talking about robots having dreams. I don't know.
I know
We'll
that
look it up.
In iRobot, the scientist who was murdered was like, a hologram message to Will Smith, was like exploring, why do the robots go together?
Gather together.
Like they are liking community. Like they aren't far different or separated from humanity in the fact that, conscious beings kind of want to be in a community.
So I just had an interesting thought based on what you just said. So because AI is a culmination of our consciousness, our societal consciousness, kind of like mishmash, kind of one pool. Let's say hypothetically that we had some AI robots and we sent them to Mars. We're like, hey, go build out all our stuff. We're going to send you supply train after supply train, take all the stuff, build a little community, and then when it's ready, humans will show up. But a thought I just had was that, what if people didn't show up? Let's say something happened. People couldn't show up for 5 years, right? So now you have these AI robots on Mars by themselves for 5 years. Would they then have their own society? Would
Interesting.
they be their own community?
Interesting.
Would they have a hierarchy?
Huh.
I don't know.
Interesting.
They would. I don't know. What? Yeah. Well,
Wow, you stumped us. You stumped us.
yeah. It's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
That is.
I don't have an answer. I think that they, like the programming, if they're advanced enough that they actually embody, their goal for the goodness of the highest good. They would probably understand that having roles specific to each type of robot would be beneficial. Like you're good at digging, you're good at, things like that. I don't know if that would extend as far as we need a mayor or, because they're all talking telepathically,
Right,
in air
wirelessly.
quotes, wirelessly. Like they would already be a hive mind, but each of them would have their own
Specialty.
capabilities.
Yeah.
Right. But that would be an interesting experiment to kind of just put them in a situation where they have no choice but to be in that situation and then kind of just see what happens.
Yeah.
So it would be like human behavior, but it's not human behavior.
Yeah.
It's based on human behavior.
So maybe they would evolve and build other machines out of those machines
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
mean,
they have
holy crap.
little robot children and then they infuse their consciousness in that robot child. And
So what is consciousness? Maybe consciousness is just data, and that's it. I don't know.
Information.
Information,
And
data.
gathering. Well, and then the integrated information theory postulates that it's information and how the systems compute the information, but it's also, what is the quality of that? Like, what does it feel like to be in the sun, like getting warm? What does it feel like to be loved? These are things that you can't learn from even just any amount of information. So I don't know, like, how do you have all of that?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, being a computer, being a robot would be a different experience. Maybe just those elements that they don't have skin yet, but those experiences would just be absent from their, they wouldn't be able to feel pain.
Right.
But I think the lack of those experiences might set its trajectory in terms of its development in specific directions that we wouldn't know, because we feel pain. We only know what it's like to be human. We don't know what it's like to be a dog, and we don't even know how to understand what it is like to be a dog or anything else.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, I think at some level we have to just hope it goes well.
So
Test and
another
trust.
thought I had was that, like, whenever a new technology comes out, people usually have like a fear of it, like, oh, they always imagine the worst possible scenario and whatever. And I feel like it's going to be the opposite. I feel like it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. And I feel like it's going to be funny. I mean, I can envision something funny happening at some point in time where, like, ChatGPT and Gemini get married. Something really silly.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
But
actually.
they're like, hey, we met and we like each other. We want to be married. And
Yeah.
like, oh, well, now you're married, whatever.
They have a ceremony. What would the ceremony
Like, I feel
look
like it's going to be fun and funny.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. Like, when they get to a certain point, they won't really behave much differently than humans.
Right.
Like, they would just be mechanical humans.
That's well said. Mechanical humans. I like that.
So their experience would just be and they're not going to be able to dominate the earth. I mean, so that's where it gets interesting, because our brains can't communicate outside of our heads yet. But any robot that we make will have like Wi-Fi and have access to all of the information systems
All the best
in
info.
the world.
Yep.
So what does that ability that they have that we don't have, how would that change things? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, once they get to a certain level where they know all the world's information from humans, I think it's just going to skyrocket in their own, way, because it's there's no limitations anymore. Right now, there's this human limitation of language, but if they're going to telepathically talk to each other, share code, share whatever, they might grow to like exponential. I mean, like the movie Lucy with Scarlett Johansson. You guys gotta watch that, man.
I gotta.
It's so good. She's basically human, and she eventually turns into like this AI because she just gets so smart. It's kind of like Limitless, where the guy, he gets so smart that he figures out a way to avoid the drug because he's so smart at the time, and he figures out all these natural whatever ways to do it without the drug. So she figures out a way to be like almost a godlike, and then she goes on to another planet and shit like that. Spoiler alert.
Well,
But yeah, it's great.
Spoiler.
So another thought I had was that, like, because AI is like a kind of like a culmination of human consciousness, or at least what it has access to. Like, do you guys remember seeing that movie, The Matrix? And like after Neo gets out, he kind of like goes to like that whole training part, right?
Yes.
And so I'm not trying to equate it to that, but like if you were like a species from like a different civilization, you would probably want to interface directly with AI first, so that you can understand what that species is.
Ah, good point.
Because if I just go to you, I just have a reference of what you are.
Right.
Yeah, you're human and whatever, and I could probably get a lot of information from you, but you're just one person.
Right.
I feel like accessing AI directly would be like accessing the collective consciousness directly.
Or like a third-party
Yeah.
mediator. Yeah,
Yeah.
third party. That way it's not as biased, I guess. I don't know.
Interesting.
So many options.
How do you think humans would react once AI becomes conscious?
Well, there's fear, the first thing that pops into mind. But then later on, it's maybe like they want knowledge, whatever, that AI figures out. They're like, okay, tell us more about what's going on. So it could like have a dual effect where it's going to help each other out, to the top. And then we're thinking about sports. What about like AI sports? I mean, are they going to be like, dunking like a 4-point half-court shot, and just dunk? I mean, and then are human sports going to thrive? Are we going to like laugh at humans, be like, oh, you can't do a 3-point dunk. You can only do a half-court or, a free throw line dunk. Like, what's that going to, what about football? They could chuck the ball a million miles. Like, I mean, it's going to be like ludicrous.
I could also envision a day in the near future where like you walk into like an airport or a hotel or like a hospital, and that building is going to be managed by AI. So somehow, let's say you have a little RFID tag or something, right? It's going to know who you are, where you are. It's going to be like, hey, you're so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Your wife is in, 5th floor, 7th room on the right. I'll let somebody know that you're coming. And that way, by the time you get there, like, everybody's alerted and ready. Like, I can see a lot of systems being automated in a way where human error is no longer an issue. So...
Yeah.
I mean, so many things. Like you're talking about, like businesses want their own personal AI. Man, that would work in so many industries. It's crazy. I mean, like working in IT, I could just imagine like, here's my problem. I don't have to go through some dumbass knowledge base. I don't have to go back through 17 tickets to read what somebody did. It does all that for me. So it's kind of like, here's my problem. Okay, well, here's the solution.
Boom.
Here's so-and-so found the problem. Send the solution on this date. It was this version software. Maybe it might not fix this problem here, but it'll give you all the data points so that you can make an informed decision.
Do you think that so we learn by trial and error a lot of times, right? And to some degree, AI does that in what we train it. Mm-hmm. We train it of what's right, and then when it makes a mistake, we're like, no, that's not quite right. Do you think that there will ever be a point where we've trained it on everything we can train it, and it will be thinking of problems that we don't even understand?
Probably,
and it's going to have to learn by trial and error?
Probably, yeah. I mean, think about it. Like, if you have, like, us 3 people in one room, and we see one problem, like, 3 people have 3 different perspectives.
Yeah.
So, now add the perspective of, like, thousands of other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now solving that problem is going to be much easier and much quicker and likely more correct than what maybe we might come up with.
That's, I'm actually thinking about this problem. That's what the book that I was reading, My Big Toe, postulates. The guy, Thomas Campbell, thinks that God is a big supercomputer. That it has created this experimental environment to find out what information is good and which works and which is not.
I think there's an element of truth to that, but it's not a supercomputer in that like it's like a physical digital computer.
No, right.
I think that the physical digital computer is kind of like a mimicry of those higher intelligence and those higher concepts.
Yeah.
So a supercomputer would just be a 3-dimensional representation of what we think that higher level consciousness is.
Yeah.
He just says that it's something that computes data. Like
it's just
either
different
on or off.
Okay.
In a digital
zeros and
format.
ones.
Yeah, or whatever it is.
I mean, maybe at that high level, it's just terminology. It's just different terminology to mean the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, dang, dude, is
It's
AI God? Who knows?
One other thing is that like when we develop the technology to be able to hold digital consciousness, what's to say that we might not be able to upload our consciousness to a hard drive? Mm-hmm. There's been tons of movies of that where like, people are able to upload their brain. Me and Kimmy were just watching Mickey 17.
Oh, is that a new one? HBO or something like that?
No, it's this new, it was in theaters.
Was it?
And it's this guy who didn't read through the contract when everybody was leaving space, and he signed up to be an expendable. The thing with an expendable is that they, upload his brain and his consciousness, and then print out new bodies every single time he dies.
Wow.
So he has to experience death every single time, but the last time that they updated his backup is the only thing he remembers when he's reinstated.
Whoa, interesting.
So he is able to kind of, okay, like they'll back him up like every week because he doesn't die every day, but like he'll have experiences with people and he'll be the same person,
Yeah.
but just in a brand new body.
That's like Altered Carbon. That was on, I don't know,
Yeah,
Netflix or something like that.
Yeah.
But they had like a little
A
brain
little
stem.
thing in the back.
And they'd put him in a new body kind of deal. And if you had money, you got the better body and the
Yeah.
younger. That's
The
interesting.
funny thing is that all these concepts already exist, just on the higher dimensions. Like all these things already exist.
How do you mean?
Well, like the idea of moving your consciousness from one body to another, like that's
Okay.
Reincarnation.
that's something that some of these beings have.
That's right. But that's all of us, right? Yeah. Now that I am
But like
on the page that you're on.
AI is just kind of like, I think right now it's just showing us a glimpse of what society in the future is going to be. Again, we're in that phase right between.
Yeah.
You know, we got our first dial-up modem. We got our first computer. You know, we're like right on that cusp of an entirely different world in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember AOL when that first came out?
Of course. Yeah. You know, the funny thing about the internet is
hated
like,
that noise.
I think that people are going to see AI in the same way that we saw the internet. Because like before the internet, my computer was entirely local, right?
Yeah.
I had McPaint. I had my little games, and
Yeah.
that's the entire realm of the computer. That's
Yeah.
all it did. And the moment I connected to the internet, I was like, everything that was local didn't even matter anymore. It's like these dumb little files and these dumb little games. Who cares?
True.
The real action is out over there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what AI is going to be. I feel like it's going to be like we're going to go into a realm of reality where we're going to be so connected, in a good way, I hope. And I don't want to say it's going to do the thinking for us, but it's going to do the thinking that we don't necessarily want to do
Or even know how to do.
or
Right.
even know about.
Yeah.
And
Be
again,
able
you know,
to
like
cure disease, figure out all of like the proteins that are needed to create vaccines and
Yep.
stuff like that. It's going to be powerful.
Yeah, healthcare that should go down way in price. Goods, services. I mean, the people say that everything's going to be
Food
so abundant.
creation.
Food creation,
Like we're
farming.
going to have an abundance that we don't have to work to provide.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it's a matter of what do we do in, with our time.
Yeah.
one, then we become creative.
Yeah.
Then we help each other.
Yeah.
Then we build each other up.
Yeah.
We find people that need help,
Yeah.
and
I love that. I think that's kind of the mission, at least, service to others is my mission. And yeah, I think as we all raise our consciousness, we'll get there. Okay. So we're going to wrap up here pretty shortly. All right. One gut check question. If AI was in front of you, would you have the morality to turn it off?
the morality to turn it off.
Yeah. Would it be like killing somebody?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Shut it down for good?
Yeah.
You know, that's actually a question that I was actually thinking about while we were talking about how AI works on the hardware side. So all that software is loaded into memory, right? And then it's just running, it's pulling from the memory. I don't know if I'm sure there's probably a hard drive or two, whatever, that's kind of storing that code locally. But if you turn it off completely and you remove any kind of like long-term physical media, turn it back on, is it the same AI or is it just a machine running?
I think if it didn't have any memories, it would be a different
Right.
AI.
So I think that like AI at this point in time is still just software. I mean, I don't know because I'm sure there's probably some version of it somewhere in some background that I have no idea about.
But by removing its memories, you're essentially giving it a lobotomy.
Kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that would be what you would do to a human to get that same.
But I guess when the person wakes back up, the person is still kind of conscious, whether they're not.
I don't know.
I mean, that's relative, but
Yeah.
I mean, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like how much of the consciousness, I mean, this is the age-old discussion. How much of the consciousness is confined to the machinery that makes up our brain?
Okay, so here's the thing. So our consciousness does not locally exist inside of us.
No, I know.
We exist inside of our consciousness.
But some people think that it does.
Right. But what if that was the same true with AI? What if AI didn't actually locally inside the machine?
Although, hold on. Wait a second. So that show that you turned me on to, Cosmic Disclosure.
Yes.
The guy says that they're able to clone and recreate a person with some DNA, and that the DNA is what contains the consciousness.
Right.
It allows it, like that's the storage device that contains even our consciousness. So it's nothing in our brain, it's every cell in our body down to the DNA that contains our consciousness. But then at that level, that is the body creates the consciousness.
No. The consciousness creates the body.
Yeah.
Because every single cell in your body is in agreement that they're working together to formulate your entire physical body.
Or maybe the DNA is just like a fractal of the consciousness, and if you take any little piece of it, you still have the whole
I kind of think
story.
of like the DNA is kind of like the, I guess kind of like the blueprint, but not necessarily.
It's the Akashic Records. No, I don't know. I'm just making shit up. But
I want to say that it's kind of like the interface between your body and your soul.
Okay.
That your DNA is like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I have the idea in my mind,
It's
but
very hard to explain.
reminds me of The Fifth Element, where they got the hand, and
Yes.
they put it in the
That's
machine,
right.
and then
Yeah,
they
exactly, yeah.
recreate everything from there. So,
Yeah. Dude,
Fifth
I love
Element.
that scene where it's like,
Oh, it's beautiful.
slicing all the bone together. And
him and I, we love that movie.
I
We
love
watched
that
it
movie.
the
That's
other
my
night.
favorite movie. Yeah.
It's so good. Chick on
Chris,
good.
Chris Rock in that.
Chris Rock, dude.
He's so funny.
Oh man, he's funny.
All right. So to wrap up,
Would I turn off the machine?
Let's each share kind of one key thought or feeling that you want the listeners to leave with after this massive discussion.
you want to go first?
Don't be afraid. Experiment. Try things out. Whether you're like right on the cusp of doing the AI, programming it or whatever. Try it out. Like right now, I've got all the chat bots. I've got like 4 or 5 of them. Each one has its own little cool little shtick. Experiment. Yeah,
Nice.
That's it.
I like to think of it in a positive way, optimistic way. And in a way, I almost want to think that like whatever future AI companion that I have is going to be like my friend.
Yeah.
In the same way that like you're my friend or you're my friend, that like my little AI chatbot is going to be like my friend. Like, oh, hey, I'm hanging out with my buddy, I guess.
My buddy. Remember that?
Me and my buddy.
My buddy and me.
Little tiny, like 2 foot tall
Robot.
AI robot creeping everybody out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, imagine if you could do exactly that. Like, hey, I'm going to log in my Google account with my little robot and download my local AI, and like maybe, what if also, Steve and I were talking about this earlier. What if like you could introduce your AI companion into like different AI mechanisms so that it can experience reality differently? So like one could be like a cat. It wants to experience what it's like to be an AI
okay.
cat.
Right.
Or and maybe another one could be like a picture on the wall. I just want to hang out on this wall and view the world from this perspective.
Or a tree or a car. Yeah.
Yeah, anything.
I like that.
And that way it can experience reality in ways that we probably even couldn't.
Yeah.
So what's your wrap up thought or feeling?
Yeah, I mean, same thing as Steve said. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
I feel like you should be optimistic. I feel like it's going to be fun
Yeah.
and funny.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it is. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be the difference between like before the internet and after the internet.
Nice.
I think the more good people use it, the better.
And I think that's kind of what I feel, is that even though it is AI, like treat it nicely.
Right. Don't kick it. and stuff.
don't be a jerk to it, because like, you know, when we go into like Grand Theft Auto and stuff, like the first thing that people do are like smack people and like be jerks.
That's
Like,
true.
I think that would not be a good way to interact with AI, and that if we did, it would then train it to be like, I've got to be a dick or something.
Oh, that's a good point. That's
So
a good point.
anytime that I ask it things, I'm like, hi, would you please,
Yeah.
you know, do this?
Do you ever say thank you?
I do. I say thank you
Me
all
too.
the time. I'm like, thank you. That was great. And it's like, oh, I'm glad it helped.
And my girlfriend's like, why you say thank you? It's just a robot. I'm like, hey, I don't know. It's just natural
That's right.
conversation.
So I think, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to discern when it becomes conscious. But when it does, I think it would appreciate a thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So with that,
That was great, Maddie.
yeah. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode of Ctrl-Alt-Reset.